Grand Rising is Shay Seeking. Welcome back to the channel. So, today, I have been compelled, right? I started out reading a small portion of this book. Now I have this book here, A Short History of the Hebrews. It's one of my favorite books to kind of peek through, but again, I haven't read the whole thing, but it's always dropping jewels. It's like reading one page is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, the stuff is just, it's so deep that it just brings back so much. So, today I had a little bit of time to open up the book. I open it directly to a page that piques my interest, so I start reading from there on over. Now, this book is, from 1915, right? It's got maps and stuff in it, supposedly, even though I don't think I've run across it. Oh, yes, I did. Okay. So, this part right here stood out to me. And I just want to read it real quick, see, if anybody has some input on what's being said here. Because I'm just being compelled to read this as if this has something to do with something really deep. It has me in a mood where I'm just frustrated, where, again, I don't know, I need to be up in like 2 hours and 2 or 3 hours. And so I'm just going to read this part. So, we're talking Jerusalem here, right? It says that Jerusalem was virtually a mountain city laying on the barren and scantily watered plateau due west of the northern end of the Dead Sea. It stood at a height of 2,600 feet above sea level on a spur of the central range, sharply defined by the valleys of Hinnom and the Kidron. Okay, so we'll just keep going here. Okay, see, because everything just leads me to something else, but we're gonna just keep going here. So it said the city sloped gently to the south and was surrounded on 3 sides by ravines, which forbade any extension of its boundaries. On the 4th side, the north and northwest, it was strongly fortified. On the east, it was overlooked by the Mount of Olives. But its most striking feature was its seclusion. It lay apart from the great highway of commerce and from the route trodden by alien armies in their passage to and from the further east. It was connected only by a rough mountain path with Egypt on the one side and Syria on the other. It was almost entirely cut off from the opportunities of the opportunities of that close intercourse with foreign land, which was so fatally easy for its rival Samaria. So again, I see spiritual here, right? And since it's talking about cut off from, all this other stuff, armies and stuff like that, I'm thinking psychological, spiritual, warfare, but also, literal war. That's just what's coming to mind. So, We're talking boundaries, we're talking war, you know. And again, boundaries also, some of us set up boundaries mentally when it comes to this system, when it comes to a lot of other things, and spiritually with certain entities, people, certain things, you start to set boundaries in order to seclude yourself in a sense for something of a higher or an alternative viewpoint. You start to set yourself up, and it's almost like on high, right? In a sense, it's just what I'm getting here. So it's saying, so yeah, the Mount of Olives, but its most striking feature was its seclusion. Excuse me. So while I'm reading this, I'm thinking, yeah, we could be talking about a physical place. We could also be talking about a mindset. We could also, we could be talking about a mindset, but it says it lay apart from the great highway of commerce. So again, you know, even what we're talking about when we're talking commerce as far as the construct goes, right? The pyramid scheme that we talk about so much on this channel, or we used to. But also, I'm pretty sure we're talking about routes, excuse me, trade routes and things like that as well. Or we could be. Again, when I'm reading this stuff, I'm taking it in, marinating on it, asking questions to other people to see if anyone else is seeing this, and what they could possibly think that it means, because I know that, there are other seers out there. But anyways, even laying apart, from commerce, it's almost like, someone that is trying to restrict themselves or keep themselves far apart from that aspect of life, as far as possible, cut themselves off or seclude themselves, or any way it goes. We could be talking about the physical, or we can be talking about something else, spiritual, or like just mental. But this great highway of commerce, and from the route trodden by alien armies in their passage to and from the further east. So again, I told you guys, when we're talking rivers and streams and stuff like that, a lot of times I feel like a lot of times I see a sense with a spiritual lens or my mind's eye, different vessels like of the brain, or different, different parts of the brain. Like if you look at an aerial view of a brain up the top of somebody's, well, that sounds kind of horrid, but if you look at the aerial view of the brain, the way that they would slice it and show it for educational purposes, if you really look at that and all of the way that the brain is made up, sometimes I really think that could we be talking about this? But we can also be talking about physically the land, meaning soil itself, right? It was connected only by rough mountain paths with Egypt on rough mountain paths, okay, which would be like probably, deep ravines or something like that. I'm not sure. But anyways, even it's saying by rough mountain paths, it's kind of like ups and downs, highs and lows, going in and coming back out, going in on certain subjects and coming back out, but it says with slavery. So that, that just made me think of a mindset also of slavery, of just having a feeling of Egypt or slavery. And it also, makes me think about actually being in a certain state or status. You know, on each side, and it says here on the one side, right, and Syria on the other side. Okay, and then even when we're talking about, you know, that these things are trodden by alien armies, you know, what are we talking about? Are we talking about, artificial intelligence and the mindset? That's just something else that came to mind while reading that I just wanted to put out there. It was almost entirely cut off from the opportunities of that close intercourse, intermingling to a certain extent, however you want to look at it. Doesn't always have to be sex, and it may be sometimes, but this form of intercourse, I think, is talking about intertwining, or a course of actions where something is connected or something like that. Okay, intermingling or whatnot with foreign lands, which was so fatally easy for its rival Samaria. So, it's funny how we're talking about this, but we're talking about its rivalry. So, Jerusalem, is it saying that Jerusalem is an it? See, it says, was so fatally easy for its rival Samaria. So how did Jerusalem, if we're not talking about